Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and my latest Blu-ray update where I share with you what I've been buying recently on Blu-ray. So that's my usual introduction. Let's just get into it. You want to know what I've been buying? Let's show you. First up, we've got The Shawshank Redemption. What needs saying about this film, quite frankly, that hasn't already been said? It's a brilliant piece of work. Definitely, in my mind, Frank Darabont's best film. Though I must say I do like The Majestic as well, very underrated I think. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and it's one of those films that just gives you hope, makes you feel good about life, despite a lot of the crap that the main character has to go through. Next up is J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. I think this was just amazing. It's diminished slightly, and when I say slightly, I mean slightly. To me, it's still an outstanding piece of work. I've always been a fan of the Star Trek movies, and I like the TV shows, you know, to varying degrees. I have watched most of them, and I think when they're good, they're very good. But yeah, I've always been a fan of the movies. I've always gravitated more towards the movies. But the idea of rebooting it, you know, having Kirk back, but with different actors, when you've got these characters who've been played by a certain set of actors for so many years, that's a risk, isn't it? You got to know what you're doing if you're going to do that. And I think everyone involved in this did, and they made one of the best Star Trek movies, maybe even a contender for the best Star Trek movie. And like I say, I don't say that lightly. I say that as someone who has been a fan since childhood of the Star Trek franchise, of those movies. But yeah, I just think the cast nail those roles. They feel like the original actors in many ways, but without being like a pastiche of them. It's weird. It's a bizarre thing. They imbue what we knew and loved about those original actors into them, but make it their own as well. You know, across the board, every actor in this film manages to do that, and I think that's quite a feat. And I think it goes to show just how talented a director J.J. Abrams is as well. You know, you can throw easy criticisms at it, like lens flare. Oh, you know, yeah, we've heard that one many times before. It doesn't stop this having what I think are some of the best action scenes I've ever seen. And it's pretty non-stop as well, this film. You know, from start to finish, it's very fast-paced, full of action. Yeah, quite thrilling. I'd say, as I think most people do, that Nero, the main villain, probably could have done with a bit more work, but I think Eric Bana does enough to make him suitably entertaining. Yeah, just, it was an introduction film, you know, it was getting us mainly used to this new cast, so I don't think the villain was the main focus of attention in that regard, and probably quite rightly so at this stage. So, you know, they upped the game villain-wise, I think, in the follow-up to this. But yeah, there you go. Star Trek 2009, brilliant film. Next up, we've got what I consider to be one of the most underrated films of the last decade, at least. I loved this. You know, Brad Bird hasn't failed me yet. He's just done some incredible work. You know, you look at his animated films, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Iron Giant, one of the best animated films of all time. And then, yeah, he went to live action, did Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, and he proved with that yeah, he could do live action stuff as well. So I was very kind of excited about this, you know, when I found out this is the film he was making, and then the reviews started coming in, and they were all mediocre, you know. It just wasn't reviewed particularly well, and even a lot of people, friends of mine who'd been to see it, said it wasn't great, it was a bit ho-hum, and it put me off, you know. I actually didn't go, I mean, I personally am always of the mind that you have to make up your own mind, but if you're going to fork out cash to go and see a film. I'm also of the mind that, you know what, I am more likely to pay the money to go and see the film that everyone's talking about in a good way, not the one that everyone's dissing. But then it came on TV, you know. I thought, I'll give it a watch, give it a try. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Pure science fiction. You know, I am a sci-fi fan. I've set up a science fiction Facebook group for those who don't know. Please go and check that out. It's called Cine Sci-Fi, and we just talk about science fiction movies on there all the time. Just, you know, that's what we do. We talk about science fiction. If you love science fiction, go and check out that Facebook page. It's called Cine Sci-Fi. This is the kind of movie that I made that page for, you know? Proper science fiction. I think most people these days, when they think science fiction, certainly a younger generation, they think of Marvel movies, you know, but that's fantasy most of the time. Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, that's science fiction. But even that, to a large extent, is half fantasy, half science fiction. This, to me, is pure science fiction. I love it. I think it was great. I think some incredible performances by the young actors, the young women that are in it, and the message that the film has as well, I think is a really great message, just about our own apathy and our own kind of, essentially, that it's almost like we want our own destruction. You know, if you look at the way we view the world through the media and things like that, it's almost like we're inviting our own destruction upon us. And this film is asking us for a more hopeful outlook, a brighter outlook on life. Start looking at things more positively rather than negatively. I love that, but in a cynical world, I guess that's not a message that goes down too well. So, yeah, might explain why the film didn't do too well critically, which is kind of the point that the film was making. So, there you go. Next up is The Truman Show. It has taken me far too long to get this on Blu-ray. It is one of my favourite films of all time. It's in my top 5. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Everything about this film is just perfection. The direction from Peter Weir, all the performances across the board. It was one of the first films that kind of really made Jim Carrey stand out as an actor, not just a comedian or a comedic actor. Not that I would put that down as a profession. I think to do comedy is extremely hard. But yeah, he showed that he wasn't just that one-trick pony. Just, yeah, brilliant film that kind of makes you think about your own life and what you're doing with it, you know. And it has some very similar themes to The Matrix. You know, around this period, there were quite a few films that were all about the modern man and just how we feel, I guess, trapped in our own lives. You know, you think about The Matrix, you think about American Beauty, you think about Fight Club, you know, all these films that at the turn of the millennium were dealing with this kind of male angst about existence. You know, what are we doing here? What is the point of life? And this asks those kind of questions. Next up, and we've got another underrated one here, it's Gangster Squad. Love it. I love the direction from Ruben Fleischer. I think the production design, or the cinematography more, I guess, than the production design as well. I think that combination of the direction, production design, and cinematography, it just, I don't know, there's something about it that gets me. When I watch it, I love it. I love the costumes as well. Everything about the visuals on this film just really gets me going. And I know it is essentially a rehash of The Untouchables, but for me, The Untouchables hasn't fared as well as I thought that it should. You know, I watched it a few years back and it wasn't quite as good as I remember it being as a child. That being said, you know, I'm not here to diss The Untouchables, it's still a good film, but I just think this is much better than people give it credit for. I think Sean Penn makes for a completely OTT villain, all the better for it in my mind, and I really like Josh Brolin. Everyone, you know, Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone. It's got some of my favourite actors in it. I think they're all great in this. What can I say? I like it. I like it a lot. Next up is Captain America, the first Avenger. I liked this film more than most as well. When I see a lot of Marvel ranking videos, this doesn't tend to be right up near the top. But for me, yeah, it's, other than Iron Man and the Avengers, I think it's probably the best film from Phase 1. I think it's certainly better than Iron Man 2, and I think it's better than Incredible Hulk and Thor. And I like those movies. I like them a lot. But yeah, I think a lot of people dismiss this one a bit too much. I think the first hour of this, the setup for it, is so brilliantly done. I think the way they build this character up of Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor? Am I getting that right? I get confused between Steve Trevor and the other Steve from Wonder Woman. Either way, Steve Trevor is Wonder Woman, isn't he? Which one's Captain America? Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers? Yeah. I'm going to go with Steve Rogers. Whatever the hell, you know? I think they do an amazing job of building that character. Just making him this really noble guy. You know, he's a skinny weakling of a man physically, but he has such strength of heart and passion within his soul to do the right thing. And it just makes you warm to him straight away. You root for this guy throughout. You know, and he's a hero long before he takes the super soldier serum. And that to me is what makes him such a good character. My favourite Avenger. Out of all the Marvel characters that we've had in these movies, he is my favourite character. I think maybe a lot of people might find him a bit dull because he is, you know, a bit of a goody two-shoes and that. But for me, that's kind of what I like about him. Yeah, so... And a great villain as well. Red Skull, one of the best Marvel villains. You know, a lot of people are talking about Killmonger being one of the best Marvel villains. Not at all. I think he's really overrated, personally. I think Loki's really great. Winter Soldier was really great when he was a villain. And I think Red Skull is maybe even my favourite Marvel villain. So, yeah. Captain America, First Avenger, brilliant stuff. But not quite as brilliant as Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which is not only the best Captain America movie, it is the best Marvel movie. And one of the best comic book movies ever. Period. I think just a great politically minded kind of 70s thriller style film within a comic book movie. Brilliant action scenes, great villains, not just in the Winter Soldier, but also in the character played by Robert Redford. Yeah, love it. Just the supporting characters are all great. They all get some real kick-ass moments. And there's some real emotional beats as well. You know, the relationship between Bucky and Steve Rogers, whatever. They're just a really great relationship. So there's emotional stakes, which you don't usually get between the hero and the villain in Marvel movies. You know, that's what makes Loki such a great villain, is this personal tie to Thor. And you don't always get that in the Marvel movies. It's usually just someone out for world domination. And what makes this film, one of the things that makes it so great, particularly in the villain stakes, is that emotional attachment between hero and villain. So that, you know, when stuff's kicking off at the end, you don't really want Captain America to take this guy down. You want him to save it instead. So, yeah, it's the best Marvel movie. End of. Next up is A Most Violent Year. It took me a while to get around to seeing this. Saw it on DVD, picked it up pretty cheap, and after watching it, had to get it on Blu-ray because this is fantastic. J.C. Chandor is really impressing me actually as a filmmaker. He's done quite a few films now and he's not had a miss. You know, but I think this is his best work so far. Brilliant performances all round. Oscar Isaac, one of my favourite actors. Jessica Chastain. one of my favourite actresses. Also, David Oyelowo, I think, was in this. Yes, he was. Again, another one of my favourites. But just again, it's one of those kind of Godfather, Goodfellas type stories, but with a twist, in the sense that the main character is actually trying to do things properly. He's trying to do things above board. He's trying to be straight. He doesn't, he's setting up this business, and there's so many times he could take the easy route. He could go for the easy money. He could go to the gangsters for help. He could become a teamster or whatever you call it. But he doesn't. He always takes the hard route. He always takes, the harder road, which is the more moral road. Even when his wife is trying to convince him maybe that it's okay to go the easier route. And that's why I love this character so much. Brilliant character. Again, it's that same kind of quality that I saw in Captain America, which I like. And we don't see as much as I'd like in movies, that kind of noble quality when everyone around you is trying to bring you down. There's a bit of a Job kind of vibe to it in that sense. You think about the story of Job from the Bible, in which everything just happens to this guy, and he never kind of sways from doing the right thing, from looking to his God. And that's what this guy's like. It reminds me of Job in that sense. Most Violent Year, great stuff. Next up is Falling Down. This is without question for me Joel Schumacher's best film. Joel Schumacher has pretty much ended up in the doldrums these days. He tends to make straight to DVD trash. And I don't think that's his fault. I think that's where the studios have now put him. They have unfriended him, so to speak. They don't give him the big projects anymore, so he's got to take what he can get. And that is a shame, because he is a good filmmaker, And this is coming from someone who, as a Batman fan, thinks that Batman and Robin absolutely destroyed the character. And, destroyed the movie franchise for many years until Christopher Nolan picked it up. But that being said, one bad film does not make a bad filmmaker, and I think that Joel Schumacher has many films under his belt that prove he can be a good filmmaker. Tigerland, The Client, the other one with Matthew McConaughey, I can't remember the name, but I want to say A View to a Kill, but that's a Bond film. A Time to Kill, that's the one. A Time to Kill, The Lost Boys, he's done some really great work. I think if you don't like Joel Schumacher and you've never seen Falling Down, before you hold to that judgment, watch this film. I think it's a great film. Really outstanding piece of work. It's a 5-star film for me. If you don't like this film, then you ain't going to be a fan of Joel Schumacher. But if you do like it, then check out more of his other work and don't just go off everything after Batman and Robin. That film pretty much destroyed his career. Even though I think the studio should take a lot of the blame for that. I think Schumacher definitely became a scapegoat for it. I think he obviously needs to take a lot of the blame, but come on. If you're a studio executive and you're watching that and you're pushing, merchandising, it's your own fault. Next up is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. This it's one of the first films that I saw in the cinema. I saw quite a few as a kid, but when I started to hit my teenage years and I was really getting into movies, when I started to realise actually this is something I'm passionate about. Movies are for some reason my thing. This was one of the first movies I saw that I just watched loads and loads of times. And the song by Bryan Adams, I was a really big fan of that album actually. The song that's in it, Everything I Do It For You, was at number 1 for 14 weeks or whatever it was, broke the record. And I loved that song. I loved that album, and not so much anymore. You know, I'm not particularly a Bryan Adams fan these days, but yeah, I think this is pure nostalgia. I think it's still a good film, but it's definitely nostalgia. And clearly the best thing about it is Alan Rickman as the Sheriff of Nottingham. I think he steals the show, absolutely steals every scene he's in. And if for no other reason, it's worth watching for that. Next up is Olympus Has Fallen, another one that I did used to own on DVD. A lot of these actually are just kind of upgrades, really, because I've gotten rid of my DVDs, most of them. Still got a lot, as you can see in my regular videos. But yeah, Olympus Has Fallen, I really liked it. The sequel, not that great, still a guilty pleasure, but this was... I thought it was a shot in the arm for the action film that we hadn't had in quite some time. Since Die Hard was Die Hard. This was the kind of Die Hard film that, yeah, Die Hard 4.0, not 4.0, the last one, A Good Day to Die Hard. Depending on where you are, I think the US may have had a different title, but the fifth Die Hard film, basically, which was a pile of crap. Just, yeah. This is what a Die Hard film should be, you know? Not that PG-13 nonsense, the 12A stuff. This, it just, yeah, this felt like a Die Hard film for me in the best possible way. So if you can't have John McClane doing what John McClane should be doing in the way that John McClane should be doing it, I'll quite happily settle for Gerard Butler doing it instead. Yeah, Olympus Has Fallen. A lot of people get hit, a lot of people get shot, a lot of things blow up. What more do you want? Finally, we've got the remake of Straw Dogs. Pick this up for £1 in a shop. I know it's not had great reviews at all, but I've never seen the original. I've not seen this one either. So yeah, I want to go into this fresh. Having not seen the original, I want to be able to be objective about this, completely objective. And I like everyone that's in it. You know, Kate Bosworth's pretty decent. James Marsden I'm a big fan of. I don't think James Marsden has had the career that he should have. I think his talents are far more deserving than a lot of the stuff he ends up in, which is a real shame. I honestly, truly believe James Marsden is a great actor, could be a great actor if he was given the right material. I think he's proven he can do serious, he's proven he can do musical kind of numbers, he's proven he can do comedy pretty well. He was the only good thing about Sex Drive. He actually was really funny in that film. You know, so yeah, really great actor, just don't really get to be in that many great films. So I'm prepared to give this a shot. And Alexander Skarsgård is someone that I've recently been getting a liking for. You know, I liked what he did with Tarzan. I thought he was very good in Mute, which isn't a good film. Mute was not a good film by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought he was very good in it. I know a lot of people said Paul Rudd was amazing in that film, even though the film was crap. I thought Paul Rudd was good, but I thought that what Skarsgård did in that film was the best thing about it. I honestly do. So yeah, I like all the actors. Who directed it? Rod Lurie. Not sure I'm that familiar with him, but I'll give it a go. Like you say, no, it's not had great reviews, but we'll see. So there you go. That is all the Blu-rays that I've picked up lately. Yeah. Please do let me know what you thought about these pickups. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, do go and check out Cine Sci-Fi on Facebook. That's a Facebook group that I set up. It's really taken off a lot faster than I was expecting, to be honest. Yeah, people like science fiction, and that's who it's for. If you like sci-fi, go over to Cine Sci-Fi on Facebook and come and talk science fiction with us. Yeah. But as I say, leave your comments below about these Blu-ray purchases, And until next time, cracking.